There's a rule when you're dealing with people who might be dependent. And this includes the situation where you're dealing with sick people or elderly people. And the rule is, do not do anything for anyone that they can do for themselves, because you take away their competence by doing that.
I want to ask you about the use of physical force on children, because you think it is important to allow kids to explore and harm themselves to gain experience. Still, you believe strict parenting is important, and you think it is justifiable to flick the index finger on certain types of 2-year-olds. Why is the use of force justifiable in those situations?
Well, it depends on the context, and it also depends on what you mean by force. There isn't a disciplinary strategy that you can utilize that doesn't involve something that's unpleasant. Well, you can use reward, but there's different circumstances under which, and you should use reward every time you can because it's more effective. But you often need something that's instantaneous and that gets the message across. And a flick is a very good technique because it's instant, it's harmless, it gets the message across, you can use it publicly, it can't be misused, you won't hurt the child. And you have to have an effective disciplinary strategy for use in social situations, for example.
Yeah, you're talking about the minimizing the use of...
Yeah, well, the basic rules are quite straightforward. Minimum number of rules, because otherwise the enforcement costs accrue and you end up constraining yourself and the child too much. And then minimal necessary force. And you might ask, well, what's minimal necessary force? And the answer to that is minimum intervention necessary to bring the behavior to a halt as rapidly and harmlessly as possible. And that has to be negotiated with the child, because some children are much more difficult to stop than others.
But isn't it possible that the parent-child relationship can be damaged if basic trust and safety is lost?
Oh, it's absolutely the case that it will be damaged, yes. But the application of judicious disciplinary force doesn't damage the relationship, it actually strengthens it. And everyone knows this. Look, if you have a relationship with your wife, let's say, the relationship is partly based on mutual respect, not merely on mutual love. It's also based on mutual respect. And everyone tests out their partner to determine what their limits are. And if you're not subject to corrective action on the part of your partner, you will have no respect for them. Your relationship will just deteriorate very rapidly. So, and it's very important to understand that the limits that you place on children are not something that impede the child-parent relationship, but actually further it substantially.